Welcome to Sit, Stay, Read, the podcast for every wag, whinny, and whisker. I'm Kathleen Donnelly, award-winning author and retired canine handler. Each week, I chat with novelists about the bond we share with our furry friends and how they inspire stories. Grab a coffee, get cozy with your favorite pet. It's time to sit, stay, read. Well, today I'm excited to welcome my fellow Colorado award-winning author, Randy Weir. Fun story, I met Randy and his lovely wife, Kim. We had to go all the way to Nashville to connect. We were at BoucherCon last year, realized we live maybe an hour apart here in Colorado. And I also learned that at the time, Randy was writing a fantastic sounding book called Justice for the Forgotten, and it included a canine. So I had to have him on the show today. And it's a new series featuring Donnie Steel and his canine Kogel. Randy, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kathleen. How's it going?
Going well, thanks. Thanks for coming on today.
Yes,
Well,
it's funny, all the way to Nashville to meet someone that just lived. I mean, you up in north of me a ways, but still, it's same state. Yes.
it is, and it was funny because I was just looking for a place to sit down and take a break, and that's how I met Kim. She was sitting there, and I sat next to her, and we started talking. And I was like, "Wait a minute, we live maybe an hour from each other." But I'm
Kim,
glad we
Kim
went
is a
all the way
social
to.
magnet.
She is wonderful. So. Well, I loved Justice for the Forgotten. It is a page turner. It's hard to put down. There's some really tense moments, great moments with characters. I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about the story and the inspiration behind this new series with a canine.
Sure. So, I've always been a dog lover my whole life, but a lot of it came from doing a Citizens Police Academy here in Westminster and getting to see the canines. That was part of the thing we had to see is some of the canines. And they talked about what they go through finding the dogs. They go all the way to Holland to find the dogs here in Westminster because they use Belgian Malinois, which they like those because they're not as inbred there, and they do a really good job of. They're very expensive dogs too, $5,000-$10,000 they say for each one. But I
Yeah.
saw them in action, and then the Citizens Police Academy got to do a ride along with a police officer, get to hear some of his stories and some of his frustrations, and kind of all of that kind of put together my main character, Donnie Steel, being a retired police officer. He had been on the force for over 20 years. He was one of the earliest recruits. He was 21 when he started. He's in his middle to late 40s now, and he's like, I'm tired. He had some other things that happened in his life. And I just wanted to kind of get across that feeling that officers go through, the struggles and everything, and the frustrations. And then his canine dog, Kogel, also had been injured and had to be retired, which is a very common thing that those dogs get beat up. It's hard work. They told us, if they get 5 or 6 years out of them, sometimes they're very lucky because they go into some very dangerous situations. And Donnie's wife passed away from ovarian cancer, so they were going to travel together in an RV. So it all came together. I was thinking of a new series. I've had 2 other series, and it's like what I want to do. And my wife, Kim, said, well, what about someone who travels to state parks and solves, something happens, a murder, and solves cases? And I thought, well, that's a little too convenient. Everywhere they go, someone dies, which happens a lot in the books. And so I kind of came up where he'd be retired and he writes a blog. And the blog's kind of his book of what happened through his life. People told him, well, you could write a novel. And he's like, well, I'm not really a writer, but maybe I'll do a blog. And people contact him through the blog. And that's where he comes across his first cold case. And it kind of goes from there. And he travels in an RV, has a motorcycle with a sidecar so the Kogel can ride with him and all that. So it kind of just all came together. And then, as usual for me, I'm a pantster. So I just kind of came up with that basic idea and I just started writing the story and went from there.
I love it. I admire anyone who can be a pantser because I'm an outliner, and you just kept it moving. And I love the blog because it gave us a great insight into Donnie, like right from the start. So, when did you realize you
Yeah.
were going to incorporate that?
Well, I wanted to do something a little different. And I thought, a lot of people blog, social media has become such a big thing. People put out on social media things going on in their life, and whether it's a blog or maybe it's Facebook or Twitter or whatever, they're posting things about happening. I thought, well, he'll do a blog, and that's kind of his therapy. It's kind of where he kind of just lets things out and writes stuff, and people discover it eventually and goes there. And then I try each chapter. The first chapter was the first blog he ever wrote, and then I kind of scatter the blogs throughout the book. And usually the blog kind of deals with something that's happening or about to happen to him as well, um, dated and everything. And I'm going to continue it in the second book as well.
Good.
I think it good. The blog is first person, so it's from him,
Mhm.
and the rest of the book is written in third person. So it was kind of an intermixing there, which was sometimes was a struggle. I found myself writing the pages after the blog. I'm starting to write in first person. Nope, don't stop. It's not. This part is not through Donnie's eyes. The blog is through his eyes and stuff. And maybe one day I'll have a blog where it's Kogel writing, it'll be Donnie writing, but maybe it'll be something Kogel sees that goes on.
Oh, I definitely think you should blog from Kogel's point of view. I think that would be fun. And yeah, I thought it was a brilliant way of bringing in first and third person in a very natural way to read. And just like I said, it gave us so much insight into him. And now I'm assuming because the series title is The Steel Wheels Cold Mystery. And so I'm assuming he's going to always solve cold cases. Is that true or
Yeah. Yeah, that's
okay?
going to be people are going to contact him and it'll be a cold case. And there's a cold
Okay.
case from his past that kind of comes up at the end of the book, but it actually brings it up during the story, but a little bit. But at the end of the book, there's a cold case that also kind of contributed that was never solved. It was a murder of a young girl, teenage girl in Colorado, based a little bit on a similar case, but not completely because that case was solved, but this one was not. And police officers had kind of told me a little bit about that case and what happened. And anyone who lives in Westminster will probably know the case. There's a park named after her here in town. But I wanted to uh, do that. But that cold case is going to kind of be a running story through the series, and there's a little teaser at the end of book one. I don't want to spoil for people that will tell people maybe what else might be coming. But people are going to contact him through the blog, and he's going to pick a cold case here and there, and then this old cold case is going to come up as well through the series and go from there.
Oh, I love it. And I love how Kogel's able to help him both as a retired canine and a service dog. At what point did you decide to make him a service dog? Was it just because Donnie retired? Um, I mean, I know Kogel also had an injury, but
Yeah.
would you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so Donnie was involved with the training of Kogel, and he did work like Westminster Police Department. Mostly officers there work in most every department. They will move around, and he did everything. He did canine, and he did SWAT, and he was a detective, did street and traffic. I mean, he did it all. And Kogel was a dog that he was involved with and worked with. And when he got injured, a lot of times the dogs, when they're ready to be retired or injured, the officers who are involved with it are allowed the option to take the dog if they want.
Nice.
That's the way Westminster works. I don't know if that's true of every police force, but Westminster does that. And because he was Donnie tried to retire, they decided to bring him in. But yes, I wanted Kogel there. He's kind of that emotional support, but he still has the training to be a police dog as well. And a companion. And I mean, you've been involved with dog training all your life, and
Yep.
there's that bond that's
Yes.
there. and between the trainer and the dog, and there may be some other people that will take over with the dog and do it, but that initial training is very strong. And he's there, he kind of lays up in the bed with him, at night, and he's there with him everywhere he goes. And I thought, well, I want him to ride a motorcycle. Well, the dog's got to be able to go with him. So in the sidecar, he's got his little glasses on, protect his eyes, because that is technically the law in Colorado. Most states you've got to wear eyewear.
Yes.
But I wanted him there as a companion for him. His wife is gone, and he's still, his daughter's, and he's still in contact with his daughter, and there's that link there as well. But that dog is there for him, and still helping him too. He's kind of another weapon as he gets into this case to use. And a couple times he leaves him behind, and he shouldn't have. Donnie
Yes.
pays the price for it.
Yes, definitely. And you're right. You really show that bond between them. It's like they know what each other is thinking, and it's fantastic. And I love the motorcycle and the sidecar. That was that was one of my favorite parts when you introduced that. I can see them riding down the interstate. Kogel
Everybody
there.
sees them, and they're like, you turn your head. And it's funny because after I did that, I saw a couple of sidecars. You don't see sidecars on motorcycles very
No.
often,
Mm-mm.
but after I did that, I saw a couple, and I swear one of them had a dog in it. It wasn't as big a dog as Kogel, but it was like, and you'll every now and then you'll see someone with a motorcycle and have a small dog like in a milk crate on the back
Yeah,
of the bike and stuff, a scooter. But yes, I think that always attracts people's attention.
definitely. And I know you're a motorcycle. You have a motorcycle, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been a rider for a lot of years. My mom was a big rider, and
Okay.
unfortunately was in a bad accident a lot of years ago. It's been like 7, 8 years now.
Okay.
So I can't ride two wheels anymore. So I ride on three wheels. I have a Spider.
Okay.
And a Spider can't really do a sidecar because I would use a Spider in the series as well. But it is three wheels as well. It's just the sidecar provides another wheel. But yes, I've always enjoyed. There's nothing for me like riding a bike other than obviously the risk sometimes involved. And I never
Yeah.
was one of those crazy riders either. You see these guys doing wheelies down the road and standing up on their bike while they're riding, and and they do the lane splitting, which they're not supposed
Yes.
to. They've got the new law here, but it's not lane splitting. They're only
Yeah.
supposed to do it when traffic is stopped, and they still do it. And I'm like, I never. Unfortunately, someone decided to cut in front of me, and I was unfortunately
Oh,
not. But it's to me, there's nothing like riding a motorcycle. I love it. It's always a good way to clear your mind.
yeah, I bet. I bet. I was going
Well,
to
it's like
ask if you
riding a
were.
horse for you, right? Yeah,
It
this you get
is.
on
It
your horse
is.
and you get out there, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different kind of freedom. So,
yes.
yeah. So I also wanted to talk about the setting because as a Coloradoan, when I saw where you set Justice for the Forgotten, I really liked it. I thought, man, you set it in Walsenburg, which is southern Colorado. Really fascinating area, really different landscape. And I thought, what a great idea to set a book down in that area. Have you spent a lot of time down in Walsenburg, or what made you decide to set the book there?
I've been down there a few times, not a ton. I've used Colorado in most of my books. Colorado's a major setting, but I wanted something. It's a small town. It's about 3,000. It's kind of a poor town as well,
Mhm.
Walsenburg. And then I wanted an area open enough because I set up a fictional town outside of Walsenburg called Real Celeste. And I decided, yeah, I would use that setting. And it's far enough out. It's kind of small town, but it's still Colorado wilderness. There is some
Yeah.
wine countries down there, which Real Celeste does some wine vineyards and stuff in that area. But yeah, I was just scouting around different places, and I thought, yeah, and it's interesting because there's talk of reopening a prison down there for some of the
Oh,
stuff
I
going
didn't
on.
realize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Walsenburg is and I also, when I was researching too, I found that they had kind of retired the police department down there, and the sheriffs had taken over, and I kind of worked that into the story as well. And it was a good setting. A lot of diversity down there,
Yes.
a lot of Hispanic characters, and the young man who was killed in the cold case was Hispanic, and his parents had moved to New Mexico afterwards because of some other issues. Again, try not to spoil the plot too much.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
but yeah, it was good. I always like using Colorado and trying to find different places to use. The next book is probably going to be set in Minnesota, so
Oh,
I'll move
interesting.
outside of Colorado with the next book, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, oh, that'll be fun. Yeah, and anyone listening, if I mean, Wilsonburg's kind of one of those towns that you should look up because it's a fascinating little town. And you actually got me to Google about the sheriff and the police department. And it sounds like in real life there's been some issues. And I love how you brought that into the book too. So,
And that's always the thing you got to be careful about too. It's like, okay, well, it's a real town. Do you make up a town or do you use a real
right.
name? And I
Yeah.
kind of did a combination of both. I did Walsenburg, and the sheriff's department or
Yes.
the police department down there have had their issues. But then I had a fictional town where really the bad stuff
Yes.
really happens,
Yes.
though there
Yes.
is a connection between the two. And Colorado has had some issues with
Yes.
cults, so to speak, and that's kind of what Real Celeste is. The man who runs it, Arthur Celeste, is kind of a bad guy but he has his own little cult down there that. Again, try not to give away too much of the story, but the Colorado's had issues like that, and so I thought it would be realistic but still fictional.
You did a great job of it. You did a great job blending it. And you're right, Colorado has had its fair share of cults. I mean, it's something that you hear about every now and then in the news with issues or something going on. So that I really enjoyed that, adding that in. All of your characters were unique, and there's another one I'd love to discuss because I really liked her, and that would be Burke. And I loved her dogs. I loved she's my kind of gal, like horsewoman, and just how did you develop her? And she was really perfect with Donnie as far as just a good compliment to his character.
Yeah, and it's funny. She has two dogs. They're labs, and the two dogs'
Mhm.
names are two of our previous lab names. So,
Oh, okay.
little spoiler alert there. I didn't really ever mention that to anybody, but those two dogs were our two previous labs as
Okay.
well. And but yeah, I wanted a tough woman who kind of lives on her own, and she's also her husband had passed away as well,
Mhm.
and and she did some private detective work, and jobs down in Walsenburg are tough to get. The unemployment rate's pretty high down there, and but she has money, so she's able to kind of pick and choose what she wants. But I wanted a tough female character. She rides motorcycles. I want to
Mhm.
say she's based a little bit on my mother, a little bit in some ways. My
Okay.
mom was a big motorcycle rider, and she had dogs, though not bigger dogs. She likes smaller dogs. And I like that, country feel. She likes to ride horses. And I thought she would be a good character for Donnie to play off and develop a friendship with. And
Mhm.
I've had plenty of people say, I wanted more from them, and the little connection there at the end. But Donnie, he's not quite ready for that yet.
Yeah.
I wanted him to. He's still grieving a little bit about his wife
Yeah.
being gone, but she's tough, and they go through a lot together
They do.
in the book and build a bond. And we'll see. I haven't completely decided if she's going to come back in book two, but I have a feeling that I will have to bring her back, or my fans might be a little upset with me.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I was like, I hope she's coming back in future books. And I also, just to follow up on what you said, I felt like as much as I wanted them to be together, because you're rooting for them, you feel like they're a good
Yeah.
match. I felt like you stayed true to their characters, that maybe neither one is quite there, but they became good friends. I felt it. So.
Yeah, they created a good bond, and I think sometimes in books and in TV shows, I tell this all the time when we watch TV shows. It's like there always has to be this romantic link between men and women,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of times, I mean, we can be friends too. You know, we can be good
Exactly.
friends, very close friends
Yeah.
in life, and I think that that was an important aspect for Donnie. That yeah, romance is not in his picture at this time. There are other things that need to be resolved first before he's ready for that with really any woman, whether they're the perfect match
Mhm.
for him or not. And she's definitely a very good match for him. And they match on many ways because she's tough.
Yeah.
She's, you know, resourceful. She rides a motorcycle as well. You know, she's got a trike. Hers is three wheels also. You know, so it, it was a good relationship, and I wanted to build that emotional connection without necessarily making a romantic connection, at least for the time being.
Yeah. I'm glad you did that. And I also like too, she's probably one of the few women out there who can see Kogel and understand the bond that he and Donnie have and really get that part of the relationship too. So that was fun. Um,
Yes, I liked her character, and she will be back. We'll see if she's back in the next book or not, but she will definitely be back in one form or another. Donnie will like to have her and may need her help too because she is
yeah.
tough and resourceful as well. So
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I hope she comes back. So not that I get a say in it, but I do hope she comes back. And I see the next book is coming out in 2026. Do you have a publication date yet and a working title or final
no,
title?
I'm still yeah. I have a working title. Justice for the Accused is the working
Okay.
title right now.
Okay.
Um, I have a new Jarvis Man, which is one of my other series book that's going to come out before that, and that one I'm still working on. I've kind of been back and forth between both books, and I don't generally like to write two books at the same time, but all the ideas are flowing through my head, so I sometimes have to get them down. But the Jarvis book will be first. It should be hopefully out by the end of the year,
Okay.
and then Justice will be out next year when it's ready to be out. Like with anything else, I'm
Yes.
independent, so I'm not under the gun, so I can release when I want, and I always want to make sure I have the right story and
Yeah.
like I said, it's being a pantster. You know, always start with a very basic idea, and then I just run with it, and I kind of let the characters help me write the story.
I love that. I love that. And that really comes through. And there's such great, this was your first book that I've read. And I can't wait to dive into your other books. Would you tell us a little bit about you have two other series, right? It's The Divine Devils and Jarvis Man you were just talking about. Would you tell us a little more about those?
Yeah, so Jarvis Man is your kind of your classic hard-boiled private eye, tough, snarky attitude. Not the best boyfriend. Love life's a bit of a mess. And there have been 10 books, and number 11 book will hopefully be out later this year. And I've won a couple of awards, been nominated for a few awards in that
Yeah.
series. But he's a Denver private eye, and he's it's first person, kind of the classic hard boiled private eye, first person through his eyes, and a lot of sense of humor. Uh, Tough, gets himself into jams. Not the smartest guy in the world, makes a lot of mistakes along the way, gets in trouble. And then the Divine Devil series is my former U.S. Marshal Hunter Divine and his team he puts together in the first book. They call
Okay.
themselves the Divine Devils, you know, good and bad, you know, kind of that
Yeah.
fun. And won a couple of big awards there. Silver Falchion Award. I won twice for best thriller in that series. That's a
That's
four-book
awesome.
series. It's complete.
Oh,
Though
okay.
I have fans who say I don't. I had a couple have come up to me and said they were mad at me that I ended the series, and I was like, well, it was time to end it, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll come back someday. And I've had crossovers between those two series as well, where I've had some
Oh,
characters
yeah.
show up from the two
Okay.
series, so they are the same universe, as people like to say. So who knows?
Oh,
Maybe
that's
one day
fun.
I'll team up Hunter and Jarvis. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so much fun to have I think crossovers are a lot of fun. So I enjoy those a lot. And speaking of fun, your website has a great section called Fun Stuff, and it has all these great pictures, but I love the photos of your dogs, including a very familiar crime scene with a ripped up chew toy. And I love that. Tell us a little bit about your personal dogs and how many you have right
Sure.
now.
So we've got a black lab. Her name is Abby. She's a rescue. All our dogs are rescues. We're
It's
big
fantastic.
rescues. I know you and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
A lot of your dogs that you've found through the years have been rescues, and some of those are the ornery dogs. You like those ornery dogs
Yes.
that
Yes.
you think they make very good service type pets. But Abby was a rescue, and she's uh, one of those dogs. You can tell that she's had bad owners in the past who, if I'm watching a football game and I'm going, doggone it, she runs out of the room. Even if I don't say
Oh,
it meanly, and she doesn't
yeah.
like fireworks, anything. But there are two things that get her. It's when it's dinner time. This dog jumps like a jumping bean up and down. I mean, she gets 6 feet in the air. I'm worried she's getting older now. She's going to crack a hip one of these days. But
Oh no.
or if you're taking her for a walk, just goes bananas. Other than that, she's a very calm dog. And then our daughter, who still lives with us, she's got a pit bull
Nice.
mix. Uh, Nuka is her name, well named Nuka, and she is the toy destroyer. My daughter
Okay.
keeps buying her, and we're constantly picking up stuffing off the floor. Dakota just bought some new toys for her that don't have stuffing in them, so they won't make us quite as big a mess. But she's got her own little toy box, and we put the
I
toys
love it.
back in there, and she'll grab them back out and chew them. She likes just to throw them and everything else. But she's a wonderful dog. Another rescue. I have a feeling that maybe they were going to train her for fighting when we
Yeah.
first got her. She was very skittish. She was on the streets when the Aurora pet rescue found her, and
Okay.
she was like 25 pounds, and
Oh,
now she's 52 pounds. She actually weighs more
okay.
than our lab, 54 pounds, I think it was. And she is a rock. She's one of the strongest dogs, and she's very low center of gravity, and she's almost built like a greyhound. She has a strong chest, but a very high type of back legs,
Interesting.
and unbelievably strong. But yeah, she's the one. And people give pit bulls a bad name, but she's the sweetest little thing. But she's very protective of our daughter, which is a good thing. When
Yeah.
our daughter decides to go out on her own, she's going to be pretty well protected by that dog.
Oh, definitely, definitely. No, I think they're wonderful dogs. My cousin had a pit bull who was a therapy dog and went into hospitals and nursing homes. And actually, I know another pit
Oh,
bull who does the same job. So I do think it's too bad they've sort of gotten the reputation they have. But that could be a whole nother discussion. But
oh
they
yeah.
are wonderful dogs. So I'm glad you guys found her and have her. So I know where your website is, obviously, and I had a lot of fun looking at it. What is the best way for readers to reach you? Is it through that website or social media, or what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so I actually just developed a new website,
Oh,
and
cool.
my old website still points to the new website, but it's and a new domain, but it's rweirauthor.com. I used to be
Okay.
rweir.net, but I couldn't get
Okay.
rweir.com because somebody else owned it. But it's rweir, RWEIR, author.com. And there's contact forms on there. I do a monthly newsletter. I do give away
Okay.
2 free ebooks for anyone who signs up for the newsletter. And then I'm on Facebook, though somewhat sparingly. That's about the only social media I do too much with. The website's
Okay.
always the best place, and then I have my own podcast as well. So, and that's on
Yes.
YouTube also. And I've had 40 episodes, and those are all on YouTube. But there's links to the website. And I have a store on my site where you can buy signed paperbacks.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. I love that. And your podcast is fantastic, by the way. I've enjoyed listening to it, and I've been lucky enough to be a guest on your show as well. So I
Yeah, we'll
love
have to have
the
you on again when you have your next book.
I would love that, and vice versa, because I can't wait
Yep.
to read what happens with Kogel next. So Well, Randy, thank you so much for coming on this show. And everyone, the book is Justice for the Forgotten and is the first in the Steel Wheels Cold Mystery series. There's the cover if you're watching on YouTube. So make sure you get your copy today. Visit Randy's website. You can also find the books on Amazon and enjoy the cold cases and the adventures as they solve them. And until next time, keep your tails wagging and pages turning. Thanks for joining me today. Sit, Stay, Read is a part of the Authors on the Air Global Network. If you enjoyed today's author interview, be sure to leave a review and share the episode with a fellow animal-loving reader. If you're curious about the world of working dogs and wilderness adventures, please check out my books at KathleenDonnelly.com. Until next time, curl up with your best furry friend and sit, stay, read.